And do you think Dave appreciated some of those questions? I guess so. I appreciate the question. I appreciate your David might be fired. I appreciate your landslide hold is at the podium right now for Kansas State. Kansas State here today. So we'll be answering some questions. And those state players, the delegations going back to do some things with television, and then their return. We'll have the players on here today. They've got Spencer Sanders, Brendan Presley, all the coverage here from Arlington is sponsored by Arlington Casino. So we're not great coverage here the next couple of days.
Hey Bill, I'm asking what movie they I did not receive an email from you. Yeah, but I'm having email, the internet, and all that. Again, I'm inside the stadium. We're going to 12 people. Private. Yeah, well, that's a no charge.
Yeah, I think so. I think the money in the pool is going to be definitely going to go on those teams. So it's reflected a little bit, not necessarily the true odds than what they probably actually should be.
Okay. Yeah, I'll call you Friday. We'll figure it out. All right.
It is good. Technology is 250 back. What it takes to get 250 back from Oklahoma. So you basically almost 160, 165, something like that. To get those on here. I think that offensively, to have a quarterback that much experience returning is big.
No, you're fine, man.
I like their skill as wide receiver. I think replace Jalen Warren is a really good running back. But I was worried about the overall loss of defense. I mean, it's
the middle of the defense, the interior, the down positions they've got to replace. They have no experience at cornerback. In the secondary, they have some experience, and they have a lot of experience and are really good on the edge. So it just depends. Is their program depth there? I think that's kind of been a problem for Oklahoma State in the past is that, I mean, I'm not taking a shot at them, but they don't reload the same way other teams do that are inside the top 5, 10 in the country. And they lost a great group, a transitional group, one of the best defenses that Oklahoma State's had in the last 50 years. They've got to replace most of it. And so I think, to me, I would just say probably unless they've got it to the point where they have enough depth that it's just next man in and everything goes the same, then I think they take a step back this year.
My question about OSU is this, and I know he's going to be there, and this is not something that you would necessarily probably want to ask him, but has there been something of a reboot with Spencer Sanders in the offseason? because the frustration level with the up and down performance of Spencer Sanders drove a lot of the OSU people that I know crazy last year. Do you expect with the age and experience that he's going to bring with him this year, is he going to be more confident, more calm, a better decision maker than he was last year?
But even at that, though, Brad, I mean, he was the All Big 12 quarterback. I mean, that's the ironic thing about it. You're right. He was under the microscope and obviously hurt him in the Baylor game, the 2 Baylor games, Marcus. But overall, I mean, he did a lot of good things too, right?
He beat Oklahoma and Notre Dame in back-to-back games. So that gives him a pass to me a little bit. I mean, I and in the second half of the Notre Dame game, he was really good. In parts of the Oklahoma game, he was really good. So I don't know.
But that works if all you care about is beating Oklahoma. Oklahoma State's got to get to a point where they're looking beyond that. Of course, they want to beat Oklahoma, but you also want to beat Baylor in that title game, and you want to win games that confidently put you into that title game. And he's got to play more consistently. I don't want to get down on him because I do think that he plays great when he plays great. But I just know that all of my OSU friends got really frustrated with him last season, and I hope that he's going to take a big step forward this season. I think they're going to need it.
Some of that may have been expectations.
31 interceptions, yeah.
Some of that may have been expectations when he came in, right? I mean, he's not perfect. Not perfect by any means. Not perfect at all. But the fumbles and stuff like that, that ball security has to be a little bit better. But he may just be a quarterback that's going to make some mistakes, and then you hope that those are limited, and that he's going to make enough big plays to overcome some of that. But the difference is he doesn't have that. To me, top 4 or 5 defense in the country that Oklahoma State had last year. It's just not going to be that.
Yeah, 40 turnovers and 32 career starts, and that's what everyone focuses on. You're right, Brad. But on the other hand, I think a lot of times with Spencer Sanders, we look at all the bad things and we don't look at what he does well, which is, I mean, he ran for almost 670 yards, 668, and ran for over 4.5 yards a carry, and ran for 6 touchdowns, and averaged over 50 yards a game just rushing. So you add that to his passing, and I can't tell you how many times he either scrambled out of trouble for a key first down, or used his ability to run the ball in the red zone, that type of thing. And so he obviously brings a lot to the table. There's a reason he was the All Big 12 quarterback. But Marcus, basically what you're saying defensively, it's the loss of the players, you think, even more than the loss of Knowles, the coordinator, right?
Hey, no disrespect to Jim Knowles, but I think Jim Knowles got out at the right time because of the players. He was going to have to replace those players. Anytime Ohio State comes with an offer like they had, I think that was going to be a job that he wouldn't turn down. But no, to me, it wasn't the coordination of the defense. It was the players on the defense. I mean, those guys were great tacklers. They were sensational players. So I think that's, all that experience and toughness is going to be difficult to replace.
But doesn't a lot of that come down to the coaching? I mean, the fact that they were great tacklers. You in a toss-off a couple of days ago said that one thing that you felt like Brent Venables was certainly going to do is teach the Oklahoma defense how to tackle.
Yes.
I mean, there's got to be that discipline, and that discipline comes from the coaching. And so I don't know enough about the replacement to know whether I feel that confident about it. I mean, losing the players is obviously a huge deal, but I don't want to underappreciate either the fact that they were very well coached last year as well.
They were well coached. I think all of that goes together. I mean, the difference in Oklahoma's defense and Oklahoma State's defense last year is, I don't even know if we can quantify it here in terms of tackling and discipline and all that kind of stuff. So OU has a long way to go to reach the level where Oklahoma State did last year, but that's a fair point to make. I will tell you this on the Spencer Sanders, last year, the Notre Dame game went into a New Year's Day bowl in the Fiesta Bowl against a quality team that's been in the college football playoff here recently. 34-51 for 371, 4 touchdowns, 125 net rushing yards. So that's 496 total yards with no turnovers. That's that's a game right there. I mean, again, like you said, he's going to turn it over some. I mean, I just think that's part of his DNA. He's a little careless with the ball. But he is a guy that can make plays, and he did in a big way in that game.
Well, how about the fact that OSU and Baylor are meeting in the very first, conference game? I mean, OSU has Central Michigan and Arizona State. Arkansas Pine Bluff, and then they played Baylor for the title, lost that one, and then they have to open at Baylor on October the 1st.
That's a big game early in the season. You're right about that.
Yeah. What else, Brad? Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say about the Oklahoma State Baylor thing. I mean, you could argue it would be better if they were playing. Who was it last year that played a conference game right out of the gate? Was it Georgia and Florida? Who did they play? Georgia played somebody big right out of the gate last year. Maybe it wasn't a conference game, but it was a non-conference game. But I mean, there's an argument to be made that if that's going to be a struggle for you, you get that game out of the way, and then you got a chance to build yourself back up. You'd rather, if you're going to lose that game, or if there's a chance of losing that game, if you lose it week one of conference play, you got a much better chance of climbing the ladder again than you do if you lose in the last or the next to last conference game of the year. But yeah, that's tough. I mean, that's one of those things. You look at those cream puffs that they're going to roll through leading into it, and then you're going to hit Baylor, and that's going to be a challenge.
And the thing for Baylor, on the Baylor side of things, Marcus, before they have that home game against OSU, they will have gone on the road to BYU on September 10th, and then they open their conference play at Iowa State the week before they have OSU at home.
I was going to bring up Iowa State because we've not talked a lot about Iowa State as we've talked about the Big 12 this week. And I know that they lost their quarterback, and that was a big part of the identity of who they were last year. But what do you guys expect Iowa State to be like this year?
Go ahead, Marcus.
I can make an argument that they might be better at quarterback than they were last year. Remember, Hunter Deckers came in and replaced Brock Purdy in the OU game. I think that Matt Campbell, we've always given him credit for being a great coach. And then last year, they just didn't execute in close games when everyone had really high expectations for them. But they have a lot to replace, They do have some good players back, but I would imagine that that's going to be one of those teams in the league that they'll probably pull an upset against somebody that you don't think they would beat. They've always played OU good, and that they probably don't have enough to be considered to get to back here to play for a Big 12 championship game, but that they're good enough.
SI's odds on Iowa State plus 1,800. They got them 6 out of 10 in the Big 12.
And I think that's where most people have them, right, Mark? It is 6 out of 10.
Yes.
Don't most people have that? They'll either have OU, Baylor, or OSU. I mean, to win it, one of those three. I see Texas and K-State in the 4 and 5 spots, and I see Iowa State in the number 6 spot in most of the rankings I've seen.
I think that's just, determine how many teams you think can win the league. If it's 5, 4, 5, 6, don't think I would put Iowa State in that group. It would have to be pretty good. They have a lot of things go right to get in that mix.
Out of the 10 teams in the Big 12, and this may be a better question on Friday after you've gone through Big 12 media days, but I know you do your homework all year long. Who do you expect to be the dark horse in the Big 12, both of you guys, for this upcoming season? Who do you think? I mean, Mark, based on SI's odds, you could say K-State because you've kind of been on them anyways, and based on the ranking here, that gives you an automatic. But Craig, what about you? Who are you looking at?
I would say, K-State's the one, obviously, one that fits that dark horse. Although, just to be different, I'll say Texas, because I don't hear anyone picking Texas to win the conference. But really, I don't hear them in the top 3. Like I said, it's either OSU, OU, or Baylor to win the conference. But when we least expect it, Texas will bounce up, and they were a tremendous disappointment last year, Brett. I mean, 5-7, 3-6 in the conference last year. I mean, just a tremendous disappointment. But when we least expect it, they'll pop up and do something. But hey, obviously, this just in. I mean, this is a huge year for Sarkisian and Texas in general, right?
Well, it's funny that you say Texas, because I was going to say that I would think Texas would qualify as a dark horse, even though SI has them in their odds 2nd out of 10. I think based on the way that they played last year, if they were to win the league, or if they were to come in and make significant improvement on the record that they had last year, meaning if they were to win 8 or 9 games this year, that's going to be a huge move. I think you're right about the fact that people, if you're basing it just on betting, Oklahoma State and Baylor are going to be there because they played in the championship game last year. Oklahoma, Texas have the name recognition, especially with all the talk of them going to the SEC. So that's going to raise awareness of them. But Texas, I still think you could consider a dark horse because they were so bad last year.
Yeah, the way I look at it, no one has them that I've seen, Marcus, in the top three as far as preseason rankings. I mean, most of them, like we said, OU, OSU, Baylor, and so. But then
there may be a lot of market volatility with that though, because remember in the betting odds, they're pretty heavily favored, and then also in the media poll here, they're picked inside the top three. Are they in
the media poll?
Yeah, they are. I think so. Are they 4? Maybe they're 4. But there are people picking them. I'll just put it that way.
Okay.
To have a big bounce back year.
Well, yeah, my deal was that I don't give any of the bottom 5 a chance. So when Brad says dark horse, and I don't consider OU, OSU, or Baylor as dark horses this year. And so it's got to be either Texas or K-State is the way I look at that question. So
if Texas gets off to a slow start, how long does it take before the Longhorns fans start getting antsy about Sarkisian?
Well, they're going to
first quarter of the first game.
Yeah, they're going to be off to a slow start. They play Alabama.
They're going to lose that one. So they're going to get up in arms a little after they lose to Alabama. But the other ones, now if they lose to Louisiana Monroe or Texas San Antonio, or even at Texas Tech, they got to start out 3-1. They have to.
But I'm talking about more once they get to conference play, once they reach the point where people are really, because I think the Alabama game, the fans are going to give them the benefit of the doubt. And I'll say this for Texas too. I think that he bought himself a pretty good grace period with the commitment of Arch Manning. I think the fans are going to continue to remember that. But in Big 12 play, if they come out and they lose 2 of their first 3 games in conference play, and I don't know,
that would be bad because
they need to beat OU.
Texas Tech, West Virginia, and OU.
So have expectations.
They're going to be 4-1 when they come into the Cotton Bowl. I'm pretty confident that they're going to be 4-1 coming into that Oklahoma game with the loss to Alabama. They better beat Texas Tech and West Virginia, right, Marcus? I mean,
right.
So I think they'll be 4-1 coming into OU, and we'll see. And if they beat OU, they're 5-1. Iowa State 6-1 coming into Stillwater. If they beat OU, and I'm not saying that's going to happen, but yeah, they better be off to a fairly good start to the year. We're giving them an Alabama loss. They better not lose any of those other ones leading into Oklahoma. Okay, we have Brad at Advanced Laser. I'm right here at Johnson's of Kingfisher. Forget the nonsense. Drive to Johnson's. Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram Trucks. Brown's Bakery is in the house, and it's just tremendous people to deal with here in Kingfisher. Best thing you can do is come out, see the new inventory that they have in stock, meet Jeff and Mike and John and all the great people here at Johnson's. And we have Mark Rogers at Big 12 Media Days. He'll keep you covered on that all day today and tomorrow down in Arlington. More with Mark and Brad coming up on the Animal.
Do we have a hidden young tweeting out on the Sports Animal account?
Follow the.
I don't know if you heard me. I think Mark's got Adrian Martinez maybe after the break, or I thought we had him then, but
yeah, he's going to move over here.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Marcus. I didn't hear Matt.
Adrian Martinez is going to join us here for a second. If you want to,
that's great.
Go in.
You want to just bring it back from the break, Marcus?
Okay. OSU should be killing themselves for not winning the league last year. By far the best team, I think, in the conference.
And positioned to do it, too.
They were inches away.
Tyler told me that, did Aranda say at the podium that they were trying to call a timeout that they didn't have at the end of that game?
I saw somebody said something about that online.
I don't know. We've got all that stuff available to us.
Turn it off every time you turn it back on, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one thing you figure out how to use.
Georgia played Clemson. That was that big game early last year.
Yeah, that's right.
For their August 1st show at the Zoo Amphitheater. Simply go to Zoo Amp OKC VIP. That's all one word. All it's non-case sensitive, so caps or no caps, whatever you want. Summer Gods VIP. Go to zooampokc.com, use that code Summer Gods VIP. You get $20 off of VIP tickets through July 22nd. It's from DCF Concerts and 98.1 FM, WWLS, the Sports Animal.
The Sports Animal Studios, powered by the OKC Thunder. Create your perfect lineup. Build your custom Thunder ticket membership plan for the 2022-23 season today. Visit OKCThunder.com/start now.
Okay, guys are up.
Welcome back. Big 12 Media Days in Arlington at Jerry Jones Stadium. Mark Rogers here, joined by Adrian Martinez, quarterback at Kansas State University. You had a busy offseason, of course, transferring from Nebraska to Kansas State. So take me through that process and what you decided to be in Manhattan ultimately.
Yeah, it was a bit hectic, but when I decided to leave, I felt like I needed another opportunity just to start fresh and something new and push me in a new direction and really get the best out of me. And I felt like Kansas State was the perfect opportunity. Great coaches, great culture, and a really good squad of returning players to help that transition.
What is it about the scheme at Kansas State that you liked that was different than what you had at Nebraska? Or maybe it wasn't that much. Maybe it was even similar. But
yeah, I would say that Nebraska was much more of a spread, up-tempo type of offense. And at K-State, it's more of a multiple type of offense, which I'm looking forward to. And it gives me the opportunity of maybe playing more of an NFL-type scheme where I'll go under center, where we do some more traditional play-action stuff. And, excited for that opportunity to do something different.
Deuce Vaughn is on the All Big 12 team, and you started your first game ever at Nebraska as a true freshman. He stepped in and played right away at Kansas State. He's got a chance to set some records, but what are your impressions of him and his elusiveness?
Yeah, I mean, he's a tremendous player. I think his resume speaks for itself. He's an All-American. The guy is a unique talent, and I think any quarterback would be lucky to play with him. I mean, he's a receiving threat and a running threat. I've seen him take a 2-yard dump off, check down play and take it 50 yards for a touchdown. So I think the guy is really special, and more than that, he's a really good guy.
What can you tell us about the K-State defense? There's a lot of those guys that are represented on the All Big 12 team as well. Pretty good a year ago. K-State was kind of like Nebraska. They didn't lose very many games. They were in almost all of them last season. So do you think there's a pretty good group on that side of the field?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Coach Kleiman does a great job of scheming stuff up for him, and I think they run a unique style of defense that I'm not accustomed to, but I've gotten more accustomed to, which is like a 3-3-5 type defense. And there's a lot of veteran guys who have played in a lot of games, who know what it takes to win games in the Big 12.
That 3-3-5 defense you're going to see every week now, man. That is all over the Big 12. So
I know it is. Yeah, I've been watching film. Trust me, I've seen it.
that puts some pressure on you because a lot of teams will play games with the number of guys in the box. And so if you're going to try to read run or read pass, sometimes it's pretty confusing. But it seemed to work because the Big 12 at one time, it was Baker Mayfield, Pat Mahomes, and 70-63. And now it's a lot lower scoring, and you have to be a lot more careful in terms of turnovers.
Yeah, 100%. And it's definitely been an adjustment for me. But luckily, I was able to see it in spring ball. I get to go against it all the time in the summer when we do stuff, and will in fall camp. So I'll be accustomed to it by that time, I would imagine. But also, I think it's just a unique style that will, in my opinion, will take over college football. I think there's no reason why more teams aren't doing it.
Yeah, I think it does make it difficult on the offense. Have you ever been a part of the game day atmosphere in Manhattan? Seen it from afar?
Seen it from afar.
It's pretty good, right?
Yeah,
Did they tell you it will be fun?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a college town, tight-knit community, and I feel like the support there is tremendous. So I'm looking forward to that.
You get to play Oklahoma again.
Yeah, excited about that.
What were your memories of that game last year? That was a really good game. You guys were in it till the very end.
Yeah, being a part of really an old school traditional rivalry like that, you could feel the energy in the stadium. So it was a really, really special moment for me and a lot of fun. We didn't get the win, which is not fun, but Oklahoma's a really talented squad, and I'm looking forward to playing them again.
All right. Are you a Midwestern now? Or are you still Californian?
I don't know. I guess I am. I mean, going from Lincoln to Manhattan, I've been here 5 years. I know what the winters are like. I know what the Midwest wind is like. So I guess call me Midwest.
Yeah, I think you're official now. Hey, thank you.
Those are awesome socks.
Yeah, I totally agree. And Tram, I think he's a little fun, but he was talking about the fact that 4-year starter at Nebraska, and he transfers to K-State. Is he going to admit that K-State has a better football program right now than Nebraska does? But like you've said, Marcus, you've talked about him as a dark horse. K-State has a lot of talent coming back, including Deuce Vaughn that you talked about, and on the defensive side. So, yeah, people have them ranked number 4 or 5 in the Big 12. Definitely could be a dark horse choice. It'll be interesting to see. And you talked about the fact they have to come to Oklahoma. They also have to play at Baylor later in the season. They do have OSU in Manhattan. So, anyway, Adrian Martinez.
Watch list for the Heisman Trophy. I mean, he's not one of the favorites, but he's a guy to keep an eye on that people are already pointing to. So, yeah, I mean, that speaks in and of itself. And the fact that he's got all that experience to bring into Manhattan is going to give them an upgrade. They're going to be fun to watch. I mean, the schedule, you just talked about it, Craig, that the schedule lays out kind of tough for them, but they're going to be a fun team to watch this year.
Yeah, no question about it. Marcus, anything else going on down there right now, OSU-wise?
OSU is at the part of the day where they are back kind of shooting those promos that you'll see all year when they come out of the break on TV and stuff like that. So they'll be around, I think, a little bit after the noon hour today, and we will be able to talk to them.
Have you seen Gundy yet?
Yes.
You laid eyes on him?
I said Gundy came over here and took some pictures with the old trapper. They have spent a significant amount of money today, not only on product, but the Old Trapper mascot is here as well. So that every time you get up, they will try to hook you up with some beef jerky. So
nice. Mullet or no mullet?
No mullet.
Okay.
No mullet. From the side profile today, I could definitely see why that he and Kale are brothers today. So that without the mullet, they look a little bit more alike. Hey, we've got a text here on the Trade Pros Eating Air Text Connect line. It says, "Why y'all always talking about Texas? Shouldn't you worry about yourself? If you think the Nebraska game is going to be a cakewalk, think again, homers. Hasn't Texas won a natty more recently than you?"
When did Nebraska last? Well, I can't figure out, is this guy a Nebraska fan or a Texas fan?
He's a Hook'em guy. He's a UT guy.
Okay.
Well, they've definitely won one more soon than me because I haven't won one.
Yeah, right.
Texas
Who is this genius?
Texas has won and played in a game since Oklahoma has.
That's true.
It's football season, baby. Idiots are out.
Well, Texas did go 3-6 in conference and 5-7 last year.
You lose to Kansas on their home field.
It's I don't think that the Longhorn fan wants us to go back over this last decade of Texas football because it's not been really pretty. So, but Marcus, Texas-wise, so you think Ewers is going to be the guy, even though in spring they acted like it's a competition. Maybe they'll act like it's competition coming into the fall. With Hudson Card, he got the first snap in the spring, but you think Ewers is going to be the guy there, right?
I think it's absolutely a deadlock cinch that it's Ewers. I mean, why?
How much of that?
I think he's a better player too.
How much of that competition is because of the transfer portal? I mean, guys have always played coy. Coaches have always played coy about personnel and lineups and starters, et cetera. But with the transfer portal, don't you kind of like have to act like, if nothing else, a guy's got a fair shot at getting into the starting role?
Maybe a little bit. I mean, listen, everybody in the country wanted Quinn Ewers, and he reclassified. He was going to be a high school senior last year and ends up going to Ohio State, and he's a big deal. So when he transferred back to Texas, I'm just telling you, they're not putting that guy on the bench. I promise you. He's an extremely talented quarterback. So Texas skill position is the best in the Big 12. Texas skill position. You put it all together, Texas quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. It's the best in the Big 12. The only problem is they got a block for him. And the defense was just horrific last year. They couldn't stop anyone. They couldn't rush the passer. They couldn't stop the run. Yeah. They couldn't do anything. So that's the problem. I think Texas is going to score a bunch of points this season. They're going to be tough to stop on offense if they can block
20 sacks last year, Marcus.
That's awful.
Total. Yeah, terrible. Their sack leader had 2.5 sacks. Now, Gary Patterson, Marcus, I mean, do you think he's going to have an effect on that Texas defense?
I don't know. He's an analyst. He's not a coach.
I know.
So, I mean, he's not out there every day. And I can promise you Gary Patterson isn't running the program. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like if you brought a defensive guru into Lincoln Riley's practice and told them, hey, look, here's what we need to do to win is we need to go out there and hit guys and we need to have some physical practices. That doesn't mean the head coach is going to do it. So if Gary Patterson was the head coach, I would expect him to have better defense. If he's just a consultant, I don't know that he's going to make that big of a change. I think strength and conditioning has been a big issue at Texas. But from year 1 to year 2 is usually the year, if you're going to change the culture of a program, that you can change it the most. You've been there a year. You feel like now finally I've got a little bit of equity built up so I can coach a little bit harder maybe and get some more out of my players. But I think we can list 5 reasons to be optimistic about Texas without saying they're back, and we can list 5 reasons to be pessimistic about Texas, and there's a lot to base that on. So I think it's one of the great questions of the Big 12 and one of the great mysteries of college football is why they've been able to do a little bit better than they have in the recent past.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, they consistently have great recruiting classes. That's been a question for a long time with Texas. I mean, here we are. This guy's criticizing us for talking about Texas, and here we are talking about Texas again. But the fact of the matter is I find Texas maybe the most intriguing story out of all of them. Even if somebody other than Brent Venables had taken the Oklahoma job or gotten the Oklahoma job, then maybe that would make it a little bit different. But the fact that it's Venables and there's that history there with him at Oklahoma, it's not as intriguing a storyline as is Steve Sarkisian going to live up to the hype in year 2. And I think you're right. You know, the other thing, Mark, is discipline. And I would hope that year 2, the coach can instill more discipline in the players than sometimes in year 1 when you're trying to read the room and get to know the lay of the land. Coaches can come in and take control, but it still can sometimes take a little while for that control to step in, that discipline to seep in from the coaching. I think that most of the teams in the Big 12 that I watched last year could use from a healthy dose of more discipline than they had last year. But Texas is high on that list as well.
Definitely.
All right, let's go ahead and take a timeout. As Mark said, OSU in the house. We'll have full coverage of the Cowboys as the day moves along. Brad, what's going on at Advanced Laser?
Advanced Laser and Cataract Center. Cheaters, are they part of your life now? How about ditching the cheaters? How about getting yourself some surgery to replace that vision loss that you're experiencing? I had it a few years ago, and I've not regretted it for a minute since I did it. You can even eliminate bifocals or trifocals with lens replacement surgery, which you can get at Advanced Laser and Cataract Center. And this always blows my mind, the fact that they can say you get lens replacement, you're never going to get a cataract. I don't know how that works. But the fact that having lens replacement surgery means you're never going to get a cataract, that's just an added benefit into it. You also get the day-to-day benefit of not needing reading glasses, not needing glasses all the time, whatever it is that you are having to do right now, or contacts. Forget about it with contacts. I could never even deal with contacts. So find out more. Come into Advanced Laser and Cataract Center at 11308 North Penn. You can find them at alcok.com, or you can call them at 405-755-7700. It's Advanced Laser and Cataract Center.
And I'm right here at Johnson's Kingfisher. And if you're looking for a new Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram truck, they got great products. The Jeep Wagoneer that we talked about earlier, the Grand Wagoneer, all the great Ram trucks. Come check them out at Johnson's of Kingfisher. Brown's Bakery is in the house. If you can't make it out, you can also check them out online at johnsonsofkingfisher.com. More of Mark and Brad coming up on that.
Breaking sports news happens here first.
It is Sports Morning with Mark and Brad on the Animal. Mark Rogers at the Big 12 Media Days in Arlington. We'll check back in with him. Brad at Advanced Laser. I'm right here at Johnson's Kingfisher. Marcus, you're going to get back to football here in a second, but you did place your picks for the Open Championship. You want to give those to our listeners?
I would like to give those to the listeners. I'm going to go with Rory. I mean, I really kind of like Rory more and more, and I would love for him to win a British Open. I've got John Rahm next, Xander Schauffele 3, who I do have some hesitation over, and then I've got Tyrrell Hatton, who's just outside the top 25 as my dark horse.
Okay, so so basically Matt and you each had Hatton, you each had Xander, you each had Rory, and so it's a battle between Matt and Mark. It's going to be Cantlay for Matt versus Rahm for Mark. That is the battle, and that might decide the whole thing. Just Cantlay against Rahm. So we'll stay tuned on that one. And anything else from St. Andrews, Marcus? I know you've been tied up with football, but anything stand out from yesterday on what you heard from either Tiger, Rory, Jack, DeChambeau, Bridgestone ended their relationship with DeChambeau. Anything else from St. Andrews?
Well, and last night there was a pretty wide selection of choices in the television at the room. So after I watched the Cardinals tightrope a victory against the Dodgers, I did put it on live from the Open. And Tiger's commentary yesterday I thought was really interesting. So I not necessarily. I mean, I saw Jack and get kind of choked up about going into the Hall of Fame there. That was nice. Saw Jack and Tiger posing for the picture on the road hole. So it was all. It's all going to be great.
Smoking Bridge.
Was that the photo where Tiger was standing on his foot?
What's that?
Was that the photo where Tiger was standing on Jack's foot? Did you see that yesterday?
Did he stand on Jack's foot?
He was.
Oh. And Tiger wears metal spikes.
Well, it was just on the edge of his foot. It was.
Oh, okay. All right. Anyway, no, that was all good stuff. And of course, if you want to tune in, it's 12:30 a.m. to 3 a.m. on Peacock, and then starting at 3 a.m. all the way to 2 p.m. on the USA Network on Thursday and Friday. So Marcus, so you give a thumbs up to the new commish for the Big 12?
I give a thumbs up to the new commish. I think that there's been no more important time to negotiate business in this league than right now. They're going to have to negotiate a new television deal when this one currently ends in 2024. And so that's this important thing that's going to happen to the Big 12. And also he did. I will say this is that, I mean, it really did perk my attention when he said, we're looking for a mutually beneficial situation when talking about Oklahoma and Texas, and then allegedly off to the side in a breakout situation with reporters, he's like, yeah, I mean, we're open to some negotiation here. And so I think that's clearly another how he's going to deal with the exit of Oklahoma and Texas to the SEC, and what kind of money can be extracted from them. And then also, if I think it's for the betterment of the league, if he can get them out of here before the other teams get here. It'd be too messy to put 14 teams in here. again, why? And then there's also the potential for expansion on the 12 that they have. Based on what's going on with the Pac-12. So I'll tell you what, he better be good because this is a time there's a lot of things going on, right? I mean, this is like the expert level of defender. All these people are coming at you to draw a line from an old video game, but he's gonna have to get it. He's gonna have to dodge some bullets.
Did he go into any detail about what kind of negotiations he was expecting in terms of the broadcast deal, like how he's going to approach it differently, or maybe he wouldn't know differently, but what his approach to negotiating the contract and getting the best thing for the Big 12 was going to be?
He didn't really get into that much detail there, and I think he also kind of kept everything at arm's length because of I'm not on the job yet. I mean, I'm not even officially. I'm just here, and I don't start till August 1st. So.
Gotcha.
He didn't really go into a lot of details. I mean, he did, talk about running the, what they did with the Nets and how they rebranded it. He also said that, look, this league is old and it's kind of stodgy, and we need to do a lot better job of promoting it, making it cool, and making it appeal to younger people. So, and that's something that probably Rock Nation would have helped him with.
I don't disagree with that, but I find it hard to think that there's a conference more stodgy than the SEC, and it's not holding them back.
I think. Well, let me just say this, and I don't want to come after anybody here that probably could hear this, but I was doing a lot of research this weekend on Big 12 Media Days. I went to the conference website. There wasn't one itinerary on there for what was going to happen here. I mean, and that goes to not just for us and the media members. That goes to anybody that could consume it on ESPN Plus or anything else like that. Hey, look, I want to know when my coach is there. It was hard for me to even find out what day Oklahoma and Oklahoma State was coming. They have
that's
done
an oversight.
The website is terrible. They've done a poor job with third-tier rights, highlights, other things like that. And again, we're only 8 years removed from them costing a spot, I think, in the college football playoff by handing out 2 trophies. They're telling the United States we have co-champs.
In the
when they had a
sports
champ.
Media landscape that we live in now, it's an oversight not to have that stuff, because the fans, the people that they're really courting are people that are going to be hardcore fans of one of the schools in the conference, and therefore the conference itself. They're going to want that stuff. So if they're going to be able to log on and watch their coach speak, or see interviews with any of their guys, or maybe some behind the scenes footage of them shooting those promos that you were talking about, that's all stuff that really could engage fan or elevate fan engagement, and that's to the betterment of the league.
Yeah, well, but here's the deal. The SEC, there are other conferences may be behind as well in terms of marketing, but the SEC isn't that. I mean, they have Paul Feinbaum broadcasted everywhere every day. They've got engagement. They've got interaction. They got passion. They got the SEC network. They got everything. You know what I'm saying? And they're way ahead of the Big 12 in that. The Big 12 has no hipness, no cool, no outside the box type stuff that's going on. It's all buttoned up kind of by the, that's got to change. And the fact that that's one of the first things that he said today to me means I think that this guy knows why he was hired. I think they got the right guy. I think that he needs to come in here and make some change.
It was nice to be able to go ahead, Brad.
No, I was just going to say everything about the I freaking lost my train of thought. That's all right.
I was going to say it was nice to be able to jump on ESPN Plus, Marcus, and hear from Brett Yormark today, hear his press conference. So I think he'll do a lot better. I think he will do well with these negotiations. And like you said, a whole lot on the line right now. But as far as Bowlesby stepping down, I don't know if we talked to you about this, Marcus. What do you think about Bowlesby? And I know he was bragging on the conference. Basically, he's trying to say, hey, we've had a great year. But he talked about softball and basketball and tennis and Scheffler winning the Masters and the team arrangement with the T-Mobile Arena in Kansas City and bragged on the fact that they did distribute $42.6 million per school. But what are your thoughts on Bowlesby? I know he's only up there for a couple of minutes, but basically he was trying to say, hey, we've had a pretty good year. Now it's time to get on down the road and talk about serious things like a new contract, TV contract.
Oh, man, you're trying to make me not be nice here in the last segment of the day. They're going in another direction, and I think the contrast between those two guys couldn't be more stark. I mean, it's going from an administrator to a businessman, and I know Bob Bowlesby is an accomplished person that has a long track record of success, but he's
also
not
a stodgy old
charismatic
college football guy, which is the Big 12 in general, right? I mean, that's kind of what you're alluding to.
They made an upgrade when Bob Bowlesby took over for Dan Beebe. They're making an upgrade, I think, now. You're going to have a little bit of charisma, I think, to sell a league, and it wasn't there with him. And again, I think that old administrator, the old college administrator, looks at a college program and says, how can we limit our access? How can we limit the media? How can we limit people from coming and looking at our product and things like that? Because we want to shape the image. The new guy is going to say, how can we get it out there and allow more coverage and allow more people to be involved and share our brand where everybody's excited about it? And that transformation is happening right now with the Big 12.
All right. We will have more from Mark down at Big 12 Media Days. Brad at Advanced Laser, what's going on?
Advanced Laser and Cataract Center on North Penn in OKC. If you're over 40, you want to get rid of the glasses, check out lens replacement with Advanced Laser and Cataract Center. They can get you into cool sunglasses. They can get you out of those glasses. You're not constantly trying to keep a pair of reading glasses around. Lens replacement gives you permanent vision correction. Unlike LASIK, where you're going to need reading glasses or cataract surgery in the future, lens replacement means you won't need either of those. Dr. Bilardo's been doing it. It takes about 7 minutes per eye. He knows better than anybody how to do it, and he does it right here in the office operating room inside Advanced Laser and Cataract Center. Most people right back to their normal life the next day after surgery. So come in and find out more if that is interesting to you. You can call them and set up an appointment at 405-755-7700. You can find them online at alcok.com, or you can come into their office at 11308 North Penn. It's Advanced Laser and Cataract Center.
And I want to say thanks to Louis Elder, to Matt Meyer in studio, and, of course, to Mark Rogers doing a great job at Big 12 Media Days. Stay tuned. Brad, along with Mark, coming up next. And our thanks to all the Johnsons here, Johnson's, Kingfisher, John, Mike, Jeff. Come out and meet them.
He's well known in the sports community.
I don't know.
His athleticism is in question.
You haven't even got a name tag. You've got no chance.
And he's ready to talk sports.
Give him a call, see what the dealio is.
This is the Middle of the Day Show with Mark Rogers on 98.1 WWLS, the sports animal.
It is the Middle of the Day Show on a Wednesday from Big 12 Media Days in Dallas. Mike Gundy about 30 minutes away from taking the podium this afternoon, and we will hear from the Oklahoma State head coach as well as some of the players, part of the media contingent today here in Arlington. Mr. Brad Copeland is hanging out with us throughout the show and will be the rest of the week. Brad, today is Advanced Laser and Cataract Center on North Penn.
I am, and if you're over 40 and you want to get rid of glasses, this is your place. Dr. Bilardo is your guy. Lens replacement surgery. The one downside to some of the surgeries that are out there is you're still going to need reading glasses. Lens replacement gets rid of the need for that, and it has the added benefit of meaning you're never going to get a cataract. So you get both of those, and you get rid of needing glasses ever, including just for reading. No contacts, none of the hassles. You can pick the cool sunglasses that you want. Come in and find out how they can help you in about 7 minutes per eye. So in about 15 minutes, you got brand new vision, and most people back to work and back to their normal life the very next day. So find out more about it online at alcok.com. Call them at 405-755-7700 or stop into Advanced Laser and Cataract Center, 11308 North Penn.
I hope nobody gets phasered in there today. That would be
I know.
That would be a bad deal.
I was going to bring up to you, you mentioned watching the Cardinals game last night. I was going to bring it up to you because I remember in the preseason you grumbling about them bringing Pujols back on.
Right.
And I know that it's not like he's leading the team, but that was cool to see last night, huh?
He hit a home run off a right-handed pitcher. That was shocking. But his leadership, I think, and it's been way better than I've expected. Especially he's hit left-handed pitchers the way that he did with the Dodgers, and I don't think they've expected too much. And they even pitch hit for him the other night, in a situation that was crucial. Then they're handling it the way they should. So
as the season creeps along, are you feeling better and better about your team? Well, I know you were very apprehensive going in, but because I think I remember you saying they're old, they've got this problem and this problem, but they continue to play well.
They've brought up some guys from the minors that have hit pretty well. They sent down one of my biggest problems, Paul DeYoung, and they basically got rid of him. He's been in a 2-year slump, but they paid him a lot of money. That helped them some. They're a mediocre team. Like last week, they scored like 4 runs in 6 games, and then now they're on a 3-game winning streak, and they beat the Dodgers last night. So that's how baseball is. You get hot, you get cold, and you have to live through all those swings. But yeah, I'm pretty high on them during this 3-game winning streak. Hey, we got a lot going on today. Again, Mike Gundy is going to take the podium at about 12:35, so we'll let you hear some of that Q&A and the way that the setup is. By the way, you can also see us for the first time if you want to just listen or you want to see what's going on here as we broadcast from Arlington. You can go to Facebook Live or our YouTube page and see the beautiful work that Cisco has done engineering the show today here. So you can watch along with us. But we're going to have people pop in for interviews, different coaches and players. We already had Adrian Martinez, who transferred from Nebraska to Kansas State. There's a very aggressive contingent of people here from Old Trapper Beef Jerky today. They're sponsoring the youth reporters, which is a great deal. I think it's very cool that a lot of young kids, maybe 5th grade, 4th grade around the Metroplex here get to come today, put on a Big 12 t-shirt and interview coaches. But they must have, a massive amount of product that they've got to give away, because anytime you walk by, and we're just strategically set right by the Old Trapper Beef Jerky, where Neil Brown, the West Virginia coach, is posing with the mascot, and he has been offered beef jerky now, but it's hard to escape.
Are they tiny little sample packs? Or are they
no.
you on
this would cost. This would if this was at the convenience store, it would cost you at least $9.
Jerky's not cheap, man. Well, load up on some. Bring it back.
Old Trapper's got a big deal.
Trapper. Yeah.
I probably could have forced a leverage buyout of the company if I would have taken a bag every time I walk by. They're that persistent. Speaking of Old Trapper, sometime before 2 p.m. today, there's a story that I'm sure most people have seen out there. Maybe you haven't, but anyway, there was a murder in Oklahoma, and someone was allegedly going to be fed to Bigfoot. So we'll have to discuss that.
Somebody sent me that story last night or the night before. Just the link to the story and 2 words, your people, is what he said when he sent it to me.
It was a little bit north and west of your people.
Yeah.
It was around McAllister.
Ada area.
Ada,
okay.
McAllister. Yeah, in there. It was this story. If it was bingo, it had all the numbers.
It checked a bunch of boxes.
It had Bigfoot. It had noodling. It had South Canadian River. It had the
methamphetamine.
The meth, definitely meth. The victim and the perpetrators, kids were dating.
Yeah, you got to be careful who you go noodling with, man. For one thing, you're sharing privileged information because those guys, they keep their noodling holes pretty top secret. So you're giving that info out, and then you throw Bigfoot into the mix, and you got to be careful. I mean, the unfortunate thing is that it is a murder and not just a guy beat up another guy, because then it would be one of the greatest stories ever. The murder brings it down a level in my mind.
It brings it down significantly.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of favorite stories that we've had, did you see the headline today? Where did this come from? I think I sent it to you. The headline today on that Zach Wilson story is that Zach Wilson's mom is now asking people to stop calling her friends. You got a good dating pool there in your friends.
Curtis,
what do you expect?
Curtis mentioned that when I got here today. She needs to just stand down and let the storm blow over, right? You don't run out in the middle of the tornado and say, oh my God, I need to be safe now. Just wait till it blows by, then you can go do something to try to help, right?
Why does she have? Yes, you're absolutely right about that. But why does she have over 100,000 Instagram followers? That had to be. Who knows what the number is elevated to because of this story? But I mean, she had to have a significant number of followers before. Why is that? Who is she that people would know who she is and want to follow her?
Okay. Yes. Well, I can try to help you this way. She's fairly attractive, correct?
Oh, she's definitely attractive.
Yes, Zach Wilson's mom is good looking. She's cute. And then the fact that her son is the BYU quarterback, number 2 overall, that kind of thing. And she's into it. Like, she's posting all the time. She's like providing social media advice and stuff like that. So
in other words, she's the mom version of Patrick Mahomes' girlfriend.
No, I don't think so. I don't think she's that cringeworthy. I think that I think she was kind of promoting, the wholesome lifestyle of Utah, and now she's in New York, and she's basically taken a leap from one level of viewership to another. You know what I mean?
According to this story from Larry Brown Sports, they say that Zach Wilson has gone to great lengths to try, or did go to great lengths at one time to try and get his mom to give up social media, but that he was unsuccessful in that, and that's led to her now asking people to stop calling her friends.
This incident may probably allow her to try to shut it down, I would think. But yeah, that's a pretty odd story. Pretty odd story. You and I went noodling together. Were you as happy as I was that we didn't catch anything?
Yes. Yeah, because it was in a quandary of, I don't want to be aggressive and try and take the noodling from you, but I also don't really want to noodle, and I want you to do it. So I was afraid you were in the same position, and neither one of us were going to want to step up and actually do it if we'd found a fish.
Well, in my trips down there to the valley for the noodling festival, I have done different things, but I've pulled a catfish out of the tank that's there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's not scary. But the scary part of the noodling is putting your hand into a hole that you don't know what's on the other end of it.
Yeah.
Like, I could grab the catfish, and that's not going to be that big a deal, but I don't want to be grabbing something in there that's not.
Yeah, but you don't want a snapping turtle. You don't want a
beaver,
a gar.
snake.
You don't want a beaver or a snake. Right. That to me is the issue. It's not the catfish itself. I'm less afraid of that, and then the unknowing what I'm getting into when I reach in there.
To be honest with you, the order of what would be the worst, the best option probably starts at snake. Because it's not where we were, probably not going to be a cottonmouth, but a beaver or a snapping turtle, you're liable to lose some digits.
Somebody sent me a photo the other day of a guy that had pulled I think he caught it on a line, a snapping turtle that was just horrifying. I mean, the thing was almost as big as he was.
Yeah, the 200-pounder. We talked about that on the show.
Okay, I couldn't remember if that's where we talked about it or not. Yeah, that's horrifying.
Said it was 100 years old. That snake or that turtle was massive. There's no doubt about it. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take an opening timeout. Brad is hanging out at Advanced Laser at Cataract Center in Oklahoma City. We're here in Jerry's World at Arlington for Big 12 Media Days. Chris Kleiman is speaking to the crowd at the podium now. One more coach to go there. That will be Mike Gundy at 12:35. We'll let you hear some of that thereabouts. We should have some Oklahoma State players stop by here in the next few minutes, and a lot of things going on here at the Big 12 that we'll keep you up to date on when we return on the Middle of the Day Show.
98.1 FM, WWLS, the
in 2024, while Oklahoma and Texas can only go in 2025. And in terms of taking teams from the Pac-12 and putting them in the Big 12, the Big 12 would want to have that TV deal in place before the Pac-12 does, so they can give some kind of long-term outlook to those schools if they want them to come in and form a 16-team league, which I think would be a good move for the Big 12. So there's a lot of stuff going on right now. Lots.
How much of this is political in nature from the standpoint of him saying it at the podium and getting it out there publicly on the record that does put the onus back on ESPN? He's basically saying the only reason Oklahoma and Texas are staying in the Big 12 is not because we're not interested in playing ball. He's not saying it, but he's alluding to the fact that we want ESPN to come to the table, or we want Oklahoma, Texas to come to the table and figure out an exit possibility or an exit ramp for them to get out.
Yeah, I think they've known that all along. I mean,
well, but I'm saying him saying it publicly, I think adds a different dynamic to it.
I agree. And I think also what adds a little bit more of a dynamic to it is now the SEC taking Oklahoma and Texas, they're not their own entity. There's another bad guy out there. And really even a worse bad guy, because, they basically, the Rose Bowl committee, they were like, what's going on? And we're like, hey, we'll get back to you when we figure it out. You know what I mean? And that's a big deal. USC's played in a ton of Rose Bowls. UCLA plays in the Rose Bowl. And that's been a sacred bond between the Big Ten and the Pac-12 for a long period of time. And now you have the Big Ten cannibalizing the two big programs from the Pac-12. And that's a really tough situation. It's way worse to me than the SEC saying, hey, look, we'd like to have Oklahoma and Texas come play with us. So I think that might, and especially if they're going to go earlier, I think that helps. And the Big 12 might say, you know what, the hell with you guys. We're not going to have you to begin with. But now if we can get a league that has 16 teams in the Arizona schools, and we've got a Utah rivalry in it, we kind of have our own geographic footprint. We're not gerrymandered all across the country, West Coast here, Midwest here, that we're not part of the Big Two, but you know what? We're not that bad either.
You got to believe the Big 12 is thinking too, and maybe this new commissioner is thinking, one of the last things you want to happen is Oklahoma and or Texas to win one or two of the last couple of Big 12 championships and then exit the league.
That's a good point too, right? Yeah.
So the sooner you can get them out, the better. And if you can accelerate that possibility, then you don't wind up with that embarrassment, because that's a big chunk of egg on your face if Oklahoma or Texas wins their last couple and then steps out and says, "Okay, see you later. We dominated you all along." I
mean, it works both ways. You know what I mean? If UCF say if they stay 2 years longer and Cincinnati and UCF beat Oklahoma, that'd be big too. So I mean, I think
fair. Yeah.
That's why you don't do it. You know what I mean? That's good enough reason why, because there's that much volatility. And what do administrators like more than anything? They like stability. So it could go one way or the other, but I don't think they're big risk takers in that. Let's just get them on down the line, and then we can spread our own message about how good the league is. Okay, again, by the way, this is the first day we're doing it. We're test driving it. You can see us on Facebook Live right now, streaming. You can also watch us on our YouTube channel at The Sports Animal, which is cool today. You don't want to necessarily watch me during a typical show during the week, but you might want to see some of our guests that stop by here, some of the Oklahoma State players. And it's always cool to just see the setup here inside the Jerry world. Pretty fantastic place, Brad.
It's a big dog and pony show too, right? I mean, listen, they got the old trapper there, so how much bigger could it get?
Yeah, no, it is. It's couple years ago was about 107, I think, which the temperature is going to be today. And I got onto the second level, and then I walked outside, and I was not able to get back in. You know what I'm saying? The door opened from the inside, but once it closed, it was locked. And so I was in an area that I could not escape. I finally had to call into the stadium and have somebody come up the way that I did, find where I was, open the door from the inside to let me back in.
How did you know who to call?
Well, there were people here. I mean, I probably have, this might come as a shock to you, but I probably have 30 friends here today, at least, maybe more.
No, I get that. So you called somebody you knew. I thought you were saying you called like the Jerry World staff.
No.
Said, hey, I'm locked out on the balcony. Can you let me in?
No.
Because the only way I would know how to do that is like those elevator phones. If the elevator breaks down, you just pick up the phone and it automatically calls somebody.
Right. Nope. I just had to get inside, but I was able to. I don't think I'd had to spend the night there or anything. But I found
That'd
my
be
way
a
back
good
out.
story, though.
Yeah. Okay. We got some text here. Let's see. Hey, it was always going to be 2023 into the SEC for OU Texas. Getting a new commission place should have been your first true hint. Just about negotiating a good deal for all parties now. Okay. Yeah.
Do you think that's true? Because, I mean, they pretty much came out and said just a couple of months ago that they didn't see, and I do believe this was politicking, but that they didn't see an exit, that Oklahoma and Texas were going to be committed through 2025. I mean, that early on, everybody expected that it was going to be an early exit, but then the Big 12 kind of put their foot down. It's really hard to know what of it is grandstanding and what of it is legitimate stuff, but they know that they've got Oklahoma and Texas by the short hairs because they are locked in, like you said, to that broadcast deal.
Well, and then ESPN by result, everybody's got everybody by the short hairs. You know what I'm saying? So ESPN's got the Big 12 by it as well because they kind of hold the key to. I think everybody would want the ESPN marketing, prowess behind them. But so there's something to this that's a simple explanation to a bigger, more complicated issue. One of the things that slowed down the talk of 2023 was the fact that the college football playoff wasn't going to expand.
Right. And that came shortly after the announcement of Oklahoma and Texas to the SEC. So
that was a response. Sure. That was a response by the other conferences. Now that we have another conference that's taken a couple of teams, then I think it gets to that point. Sam says that there's some people that are calling that would like to talk to us. If that's the case, you can hit us on the Lucky Star line.
They drop
at 405-900-WWLS. You can always send us a text at 62582 on the Trade Pros Heat and Air Text Connect line. We'd be happy to talk to you. So if anyone would like to talk, we can do that. We won't have a ton of time today to take phone calls, but if you have something that you would like to get into, we'll do that.
So here's a good question from the text line. It says, when the dust settles, do you think there'll be any interest in renaming the conferences with no numbers? I mean, that's kind of, they walked themselves or painted themselves into a corner with that deal. I mean, the Big 12 has 10 teams. The Big 10 has had odd, strange numbers of teams. The Southeast Conference is the only one that really makes sense. I guess ACC still, but you got Pac-12, Big 12, Big 10. It would make sense for those conferences not to have numbers in the name of them anymore.
Yeah. I mean,
but do you think it's too ingrained in the system now? They have too much equity in the names?
Well, the Big 12 has just got back to a correct brand number.
Right.
So they might not want to get rid of it, the Big 12. Yeah, now, if it goes to 16, I mean, right. It's probably that's kind of dumb to change it that way. Big 10, the Big 10 doesn't seem like they want to change. We have a development going on here. I wish we could turn the camera around, but the student reporters are now entering the lunch line, which has got to be an absolute big thrill of the day.
Did we lock down what lunch is? It's not just beef jerky, is it?
I nailed it. This is not my first media day. It was fajitas. They're not sizzling fajitas. They're just fajitas. So I don't know if there's a difference. Fajitas should, the plate should be sizzling, right? That's the best way to do it.
The magic, for sure.
They don't get that fine sear on the vegetables either. You know what I mean? They're a little soggy. Right. But hey, it is free. If it's free, it's for me. Sam, Mike Gundy is about ready to sit down at the podium. So we will take the coach's opening commentary here in just a second and a couple of questions. And we'll let you hear from Mike Gundy, the head coach at Oklahoma State.
It's not up on the stream yet.
Okay. All right. Should be coming up here any second. Let me know when you've got it, because he is talking. Probably got a little bit of a delay here. The Big Eight tried to kill me one year at the basketball tournament. I think there was too many people. Go. Here's Mike Gundy.
Next question, raise your hand, and we're going right in front, right left side.
Hello, Coach Gundy. I'm excited.com, 24/7 Sports. Obviously, you guys had a fantastic defense last season, which makes it no problem to defense. How has the transition gone from general to defense now? And how are the players responding to them with all the super seniors out there? great relationship with the player.
backs with 4-man rush, allowed us to play coverage, allowed us to play a little man in the back end. We lost 2 fantastic college football linebackers last year. We've got guys that have to replace them. We like where they're at. They just haven't played in big games. We don't know much about them. We have the same situation at corner. They've played some, but hadn't been out there in big games. So special teams wise, we got everybody back. We should be better than last year. We were good last year. We should be better last year. We got everybody back. So we have a foundation. The team has to make a commitment. Coaches don't play in the games. The team does. So our responsibility is to guide them. Their responsibility is to come together as a group, create an identity. It needs to be important to them, and then go play. And that's the direction that we'll take starting in a couple of weeks.
All right, that's Mike Gundy at the podium here at Big 12 Media Day. Some good stuff in there regarding the rivalry between Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. And we'll discuss that when we return. Again, much more Oklahoma State coverage is coming up here from Arlington. We'll have some Cowboy players coming up in the next hour. But we got to take a quick break now. Brad's at Advanced Laser and Cataract Center in Oklahoma City. We'll return with more from Arlington right after this. Today's show, Big 12 Media Days, brought to you here on the Sports Animal by Genco Roofing, Fire Lake Casino, and Grand Casino. Making its way through day one, represented here today, West Virginia, Kansas State, Kansas, Oklahoma State, and Baylor. Tomorrow, the rest of the league, including Oklahoma and Texas, will be here going through the rounds. So we'll have some players from Oklahoma State stop by during the next hour. Mike Gundy is interesting at the podium. Brad, I thought talking about OU, some pretty good questions in there. The future of the conference, I thought those were some good questions for him. And
he had a little bit of get off my lawn thing, though, with these kids today. They just want to know what you can do for them. I mean, I get it. I know what he's driving at, and I understand where he's coming from. But, dude, you're in the entertainment business. You realize that you're selling a product. And your point earlier, I guess it was last hour, of the conference not doing things to make the medium more easily available to the consumer is not in the best interest of anybody involved. So, yeah, I get it. I understand. I mean, he sort of set the table for that with some of his previous comments. But, yeah, they do. They want it to be easier for them to get the information that they want. They like the information, and that's good for you for them to be interested in that information.
If coaches are saying these kids today, they're not doing it. That's not really the way that it should be done. You're going to have to figure out subtly a way to do that where you're getting the work out of it in practice. And I think most programs are approaching it as in, don't expect the money now, put in the hard work now and expect the money later. I think that's kind of the way it is, because that'll be a big problem. If you've got a place that really is paying kids a ton of money, it's different than paying a 28-year-old millions of dollars and paying an 18-year-old millions of dollars. It's way different.
Let me give you an example, and we can go into this more in the next hour. But Tyler is teching the show for me here today. Tipped me off to the fact that AJ Ferrari is now out at Oklahoma State in the wrestling program. That's an example of a guy. Now, I think that guy has an over-the-top character and persona that he portrays anyway. I mean, I don't know how much of that is really him, but you're empowering that and enabling that. I mean, listen, go back to Bosworth at Oklahoma. He wasn't supposed to be getting paid. You know what I mean? Like that, you are creating a situation, and not to say these kids today, but it is difficult for somebody. It would have been difficult for me, probably for you at that age, to handle that kind of money and the kind of spotlight that comes with it. I still think the guys should be getting paid, but I absolutely agree with your point.
Yeah, that is a little bit of news out there that AJ Ferrari, he had posted on social media that he's no longer at Oklahoma State. I believe that's the case, right?
That's what the colleague is reporting that to be factual, that they've spoken to people inside the program that say he's no longer in the program.
So, but doesn't really have anything, going forward that says what his, future plans are going to be or what happened there.
Release from the team on Monday. They also revealed that there was a protective order filed against him on July 5th from a woman. No details on what was in the report or why it was filed, but I guess it's basically alluding to the fact that all of these things collectively with the stuff that has previously happened with him has led to his dismissal from the team.
Yeah, there's a little more to that than just, hey, I'm looking for a new school. Okay, we'll take a break. Brad is at Advanced Laser Cataract Center, alcok.com. I'm here in Arlington for Big 12 Media Days, brought to you by Genco Roofing, also Fire Lake Casino and Grand Casino. We're just getting started here. Again, we've got more coverage coming up this afternoon, and then tomorrow with Oklahoma and Texas. More from the Oklahoma State Cowboys coming up next right here on the Middle of the Day Show.
98.1 FM.
play better at the quarterback position. We're excited about JT. He's got to go win the job. People don't talk about that. He wasn't there in the spring, so came in May, but he's got to win the job. And he's got experience. He's talented. He's 7-0 at Georgia as a starter. But he's got to stay healthy. That's kind of been the aspect of his career that he hadn't been able to do yet. He's in the best condition he's probably been at. And so we have full faith that he can do that. But he's really intelligent. He's accurate. And he's experienced. And so we really feel like that he's going to help us improve at that position and overall as a unit.
Of the guys that you brought with you today, Zach Frazier, he's got almost 900 snaps at center last year. So that I would think would help that you have a veteran at that position that can kind of break in what you want to do. Because, again, third down at times was a struggle for you last year. Sometimes throwing the football was a little bit too, but have a veteran like that in the middle of the offense should help.
We will. I think the part of it, too, is I don't think it gets talked about enough, is the defenses in our league are really good. We had three top 15 defenses in our conference last year. So the two teams that played right here in AT&T Stadium, Oklahoma State and Baylor, were two of the top defense units in the entire country. And so we're fortunate that on the offensive line, we've got our top 7, all 5 starters return. 4 of our 5 starters have been 3+ year starters. And so there's a lot of football and a lot of experience up front on that offensive line.
Well, you mentioned the defense, and now you're kind of one of the old timers in this league because there's been a lot of turnover coaching wise, even though you've been at West Virginia that long. But did that surprise you? 5 years ago, this league is having games in the 50s, and West Virginia is certainly a part of that. But now, really, it is one of the better defensive conferences in the country, and it's tough to get first downs and sustain drives in this league.
The league's completely changed. And I was a coordinator here in 10, 11, and 12 at Texas Tech, and we lost multiple games where we're in the upper 40s. And so that's just not the case anymore. The offenses in the league have not necessarily deteriorated. There's still really good offensive football teams and offensive minds and quarterbacks in this league. The difference is the level of special teams and level of defense has really increased. Forever, we were the innovators on offense. And now what you've seen over the last really 3 years is there's been a ton of innovation on the defensive side of the ball. And other leagues are kind of copying what we've been able to do within this league.
Is it putting a lot more pressure on the quarterback with the number of men in the box and where they're going? And we talked with Adrian Martinez earlier, and he said, hey, coming from the Big 10 to coming from the Big 12 and watching tape, he said that even gave me problems going up against our defense, is that it's just difficult to read and know what's going on all the time.
It is. There's a distinct difference in how our guys are playing in our league. A lot of reduced number boxes. A lot of versatility. There's a place for tweener players in our league. And what I mean by that, maybe the guy that's not big enough to be a linebacker, but maybe not fast enough to be a safety, is they figured out, the defense coordinators in our league, that they're really good players. They figured out how to utilize those guys. And so there's less big bodies. There's really good team speed. There's pressure coming from different perspectives that the quarterback's normally used to seeing. And so it is. And the brand of football in the SEC and in the Big Ten is distinctly different from a defensive standpoint, and it's going to take some adjustments. It's going to take Martinez some adjustments. It's going to take JT some adjustments, but they'll be able to do it. But it is different. The style of defense is unique, and it's really different than it is in other leagues.
Neil Brown is our guest, head football coach at West Virginia. You mentioned being in the Big 12 before. Does West Virginia now kind of feel more a part of developing some of those rivalries in a new league and a new place for West Virginia most of the time? I mean, you guys have had some great battles with some of the traditional programs in this league.
We have, and it's probably difficult because we're a geographic outlier. That's less and less the case.
Becoming more of a big. I mean, it's becoming more that way.
It's more of a trend. We were trendsetters. Little did we know that we were trendsetters joining the league. So. But no, there are some rivalries we've had some really good battles with a lot of the teams in our league, going back to 2012 now. So going on the 10th year in the league. So they're familiar to our fans. It helps that we've been able to play some regional rivalries. We open up in the Backyard Brawl versus Pitt. We play Virginia Tech. We played them last year. We play them again this year, which is a really big rivalry game for our fan base. So those local regional rivalries have really helped our schedule as well.
How many fans or people have come up to you that maybe even be close to you have said, oh, wait a minute, you got to know this about the Backyard Brawl. Like you got stories.
Yeah, there's not a day that goes by.
You won't be prepared for it.
Yeah, there's not a day that goes by. There's not. it's fun. You know, I think it's beneficial to us that it's the first game of the year. It's been a kind of a carrot, for lack of a better term, for our team. Is when we came back in January to start this 22 season, we said, hey, we put a countdown clock up and said it's this many days. You know, it's 50 days right now till we play Pitt on Thursday night.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's definitely a rivalry game, and we've been educating our players. Our fan base does need to be educated. They're well aware of the rivalry, and they're very fortunate. It's the first time in 11 years the game's been played.
No, I'm looking forward to it. That'll be special. I'm glad it's on Thursday night where it's just kind of set apart a little bit and you get to take in the whole rivalry. You said you went over across the street, saw some baseball last night. That's a pretty nice place, huh?
It's a great place. Yeah, I was fortunate I was able to bring my dad here, and we've been to a lot of the parks and Major League Baseball, and so we went over there and took our players. That's a new experience for them. And now I wasn't tough enough to stay through, though. The game went into, I can't remember, it was 13.
12.
Yeah. I left at 12. It went again. And so it is a great place to watch a game. It helped that it was air conditioned, had the roof closed, but it was really a fun experience to do that the night before this event.
It was a low scoring game when it went into extra innings. It ended up 14-7 or something like that. But
Yeah.
Okay, I got to ask you one more question. I love that you visit all those ballparks. What's your favorite?
I'm a traditionalist. You know, Fenway or Wrigley are my two favorite. I've been to them multiple times. There's just something about the nostalgia, you know, walking through or watching a game where some of the all-time greats have played. But there's something to be said for the new parks as well. You know, PNC Park in Pittsburgh is a great place to watch a game. We're close, so we go up there and do that multiple times during the year. Last night was impressive. You know, it's you know, these new age stadiums, there's a lot of amenities that you don't get in some of the old time parks. But for me personally, traditionalist, I go to Fenway and Wrigley. Those are my two favorites.
Wrigley is great. Have you ever thrown out a first pitch or saying, take me out to the ball game?
So not at Wrigley Field. No, we got to win a few more games to get to Wrigley to be able to do that.
Coach Stoops did it. I think he got over maybe at the Cubby Bear before and got a little, loosened up a little.
No, that's got confidence. He's probably drinking that vodka that he's promoting right now.
Tequila, rock and roll tequila.
Yeah, tequila. My bad. I don't want to step out of line on that.
No, that's good. It's pretty good stuff.
If you're going to sing, that's always a good thing to do. You probably want to lube up a little bit before you go sing.
I would want no part of singing anything. So, well, hopefully we're singing your praises at the end of the year, but we appreciate your time stopping by.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Neil Brown, he's the head coach at West Virginia. And again, last year in Norman, they were close. That game could have gone either way. And new offensive coordinator there for the Mountaineers this year, as well as new quarterback JT Daniels, who was very highly recruited, ended up at USC. So looks like Brennan Presley is going to stop by here in just a second. So we'll get him from Oklahoma State. But Neil Brown's done a pretty good job at West Virginia. And again, it's tough for them in this league is that there's just not, they're kind of an outlier, you know?
For sure. I like that guy, though. You can see what he brought to the table when they were looking to hire. I mean, he definitely has the gift. It was really fun to listen to. I don't know a whole lot about the guy other than that he's the coach at West Virginia. It was fun to listen to. It was fun to listen to him kind of get real a little bit. Plus, he probably felt right at home with the old Trapper right there next to him.
He had to take a picture with Old Trapper as everybody so far today. So,
have you?
No, they don't want to take a picture with me.
No. They got to. It needs to be up on the website. We got this visual content now. It's perfect for it.
I don't know where Old Trapper went. I was really confused earlier in the day because it looked like the Mountaineer. He is a spitting image.
Well, that's what I meant about the coach feeling right at home with him right there, because it's the same look. I mean, it's the guy with the skin cap and the leather suit, the whole deal. I don't know if the guy that's the mascot is carrying around a rifle, but he has one on the package.
There's no rifle here inside the building today. Matter of fact, they not only put me through the metal detector, they wanded me. So, but I thought, well, we're, because in the past they used to do mascots, and then they haven't done it, which is I like the mascots. It was a nice touch.
Sure.
And we thought, oh, hey, they're bringing the mascot back. West Virginia's here today. The Mountaineers here today.
And then he started trying to force beef jerky on you.
Right. Right.
Although that's good beef jerky. I got no complaints with that. Every time I walk by, I just take another package and put it in the bag.
Right. No,
beef jerky. It's not like beef jerky's got a short shelf life, and theirs is all sealed up with those humidifier packs in there. So you're good to go. I think you just load up.
Yeah. I like the pepper. Like, I got to have a little spice to it. You put the red pepper flakes in it, and that's the best way for me. So, okay, we got more interviews coming up. We're going to hang out here for a minute with Brendan Presley, Oklahoma State wide receiver. What's up, Brendan?
What they do?
Mark Rogers.
Brendan Presley.
How you doing, man?
Doing good.
Tell me about what the athletic competitions are like in your house.
Very competitive.
Okay.
Very tough.
You still have a little bit of the upper hand?
Yes, sir. I'm always going to have the upper hand.
Okay. Now, I know that your middle brother is coming to Oklahoma State next year, right? Braylon?
Actually, he's at Oklahoma State right now.
Okay, that's right. But I'm just saying, is this going to be his first year eligibility out of high school?
Yes, sir.
Now, you get another brother that's going to Bixby that's a freshman.
Yes, sir.
So you got to give me a scouting report on him.
He's taller than I am.
Okay.
He's like 5'11".
All right.
Like 5'11", like 160. So he's big. He's bigger than all of us. I think he will be like 6'3", whatever.
Okay. Does he have the kind of lateral quickness that you have?
Yes.
He does.
He's like me and my brother, except he's bigger.
Okay.
So he could be scary.
So you say watch out for him.
Watch out for him.
Okay, that's pretty impressive that you would give it up to your younger brother that much. So you've been on campus now for a while. Obviously you're such a highly decorated Oklahoma prep athlete. Tell me, are you becoming more comfortable and are you becoming more confident at this level?
Yeah, I think the more experience like anybody gets in a certain field or whatever, I think the more like not necessarily like confidence. Well, yes, the more confidence, but the more like familiarity you have with it. So I'm able to like learn from things that I necessarily didn't know last year or freshman year. Kind of use that for my game this year.
What's the best role to utilize you?
The best, huh?
The best role. I mean, the best role for you, because you can carry the football. They can flip it to you on a reverse. They can throw it down the field to you. Do you like to be considered a kind of a jack of all trades, or would you rather just be, hey, look, I want to line up in the slot or want to line up outside?
Anywhere I can get the ball.
Okay.
Anywhere I can get the ball. That's the best way.
Yeah. All right. I'll take that. I think that makes sense to me. It's a young wide receiver core, but I think it's a really good one. There were a lot of guys that stepped on campus last year that produced as well as yourself. So can you give me a breakdown of what you see in that room with your peers and what we can expect this year?
I think it was really beneficial for all those receivers last year that played. Jaden Bray, JP Richardson, Blaine and Bryson Green. They all got experience last year. So it's like, it's not like they're coming into a whole fresh new year. They can use those things that they learned last year in game and kind of use that for this year. And with the experience of spring ball and get another year of like winter training and summer training right now and preparing their bodies and stuff like that, I think they're more prepared, not only physically but mentally for the game. And with me coming back and then Braden Johnson coming back and he's fully healthy and stuff like that, I think the receiving core is really I think it's scary. And I think it's really going to be good because I don't think we know like our potential yet. Spencer is also back. He's coming off a great performance in the bowl game. What's it mean to have that kind of connection with a quarterback and not have to work with somebody new? It's so good because then he's not going to sugarcoat anything and he's super competitive. So, he's going to tell me what it is, what he likes and stuff like that. And then you can always make adjustments and always go back to the stuff that you know how to do. Like he knows what I know how to do. I don't have to necessarily tell him or prove it to him. I know what he knows how to do. I know what he likes and stuff like that. So I can run routes like heck he wants me to. And then he can just, freelance and give me the ability to do what I do. Return game possibilities for you? Yes, sir. All right. How can you give me do you have any goals set this year for that? Like return game? Yeah. I would like to get 5 returns, 5 return touchdowns. Yeah. That's my goal. It's possible, right? Yes, sir. How many did you bring back in high school? Honestly, I didn't get it. It's really subjective because I don't get a ton of returns. Right. Like I think last year I only got 16 kickoff returns. Yeah. But I think I averaged like 35 yards of return. Yeah. So, I mean, it's really subjective. It depends on if a team is trying to hang it up, if they're trying to bomb it, how good the punter is and all that other stuff. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm just trying to get the ball back for our team. But if I get a chance, then I want to take it. What are your expectations for Braylon? I told him just to learn the plays because coming in college, I mean, so many people, at least what I've learned is, so many people, they come in there, they focus more on like the body and stuff like that. Like I want to get bigger, faster, stronger and stuff like that. And in college, a lot of the game is more mental than it is physical. Just being mentally tougher, stronger than your opponent, and also being smarter. The game moves at a faster pace since everybody in college was the best player from the high schools. So it's kind of like an all-star high school game every single day. So my expectation for him is just, hey, learn the playbook and stuff like that. And when you get a chance, just do what you do.
Yeah, well, that means if you get a chance, that means
Yeah.
you're going to be out there and you know what's going on. I think that's really, really good advice. What's your 40 time right now?
Probably wait, like 4.3. I'd say
4.3. Okay, that's got to be. Where's that on the team? Is anybody faster than you?
Yes.
How many? Not many though, right?
Not many. Braden Johnson, he's the fastest on the team for sure.
Right.
Corey Black, he's fast. He's the fastest, like probably DB. I'm top 5 for sure.
Right.
There's been some debates about who's faster, but if we line it up, my brother, he's pretty fast too. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, no, he's fast.
Definitely top 5.
Hey, I always enjoyed watching you, man. I wish you the best of luck and look forward to seeing you play this year.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, you bet. That's Brendan Presley, Bixby High School stud, now at Oklahoma State, doing a good job for the Cowboys.
He's going to bring it when he sits down with a what it do.
He's fast, I can tell you that, and he is also very agile and tough to tackle. Would have had no chance against him.
I agree with you. The fact that he gives it up as readily as he does to his brothers pretty much speaks volumes to me about how good they must be. Because most guys would be like, yeah, he's all right, but he's not me.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a separation, but his younger brother that's going to go to Bixby this year that he said is scary, you'll be hearing about him in September. He's only a freshman, but he's going to, I think, make a big difference on that team. So tell me what's going on at Advanced Laser and Cataract.
Advanced Laser and Cataract, that's the place to go if you're tired of glasses. Even if it's bifocals or trifocals, lens replacement can fix that. I know people all the time. I've heard people say, I'd like to have eye surgery, but they can't fix whatever it is. Dr. Bellardo's system with lens replacement fixes lots of things that you think can't be remedied with surgery. Get rid of reading glasses. Don't worry about getting cataracts in the future because lens replacement means that you can't ever get a cataract. Dr. Bellardo does it right here in the office operating room inside Advanced Laser and Cataract Center. It only takes about 7 minutes per eye. And most people, the very next day, are back to their regular life after the surgery. So it's not like it takes any recovery time either. So if you're over 40 and want to get rid of glasses, this is your place. Advanced Laser and Cataract Center, 405-755-7700. You can find them online at alcok.com or come in to 11308 North Penn at Advanced Laser and Cataract Center.
All right, we will hopefully have a couple more Oklahoma State players join us here in the next couple hours.
feasible, which I mean, maybe he's just playing the game, but I mean, to me, it sounded like he wasn't that interested.
So they've got a lot of marquee games scheduled for them coming up. They've got Alabama on the schedule in the next 7, 8 years, home and home.
Right.
So you're not going to play another tough game on the same year you're playing Alabama. And I think when I sit down with Chad Weiberg about 4 months ago, and he laid it out to me like that look, a lot of our non-conference scheduling is already done, and the model is kind of one maybe tough game ever so often, but one game that's going to be considered a group of 5 game, what used to be a group of 5, and then a team that basically is a South Missouri State, something like that. So you're not going to add OU to that mix in there. And I don't think OU is interested in that either, to be honest.
No, I hate it. I mean,
well, that's what we were talking about yesterday. Mark and I think Craig were talking about it yesterday, Curtis, that's one of the unfortunate byproducts of these consolidations and changes in college football is you're going to lose that stuff. And for every, it's going to go the way of Oklahoma, Nebraska. So for every Oklahoma, Texas that you could potentially, depending on what they do scheduling wise, that you could potentially hold on to, you're going to lose some of those other ones. It's unfortunate that an in-state rival is going to fall to the wayside like that, but I guess that's just the price of progress.
Yeah, that's the handwriting on the wall. But and here's my thing: going forward, if we have 2 super conferences, maybe there's 40 teams out of those 2. How many non-conference games are we ever going to get? I mean, that's going to be everybody's philosophy. All these games that OU has scheduled in the future, I mean, they're going to want to cancel a lot of those games. Why are they going to want to go play Ohio State when they're playing in the SEC? I mean, if that's the argument they're using about not playing Oklahoma State, why?
Well, then what about this? What about, is Alabama going to want to play an Oklahoma State if they're playing in a 20-team or a bigger conference than that in the SEC? I mean, I think those games are scheduled soon enough that wouldn't be a literal potential loss of a game, but that kind of game would be one. If you're Alabama, why put that on there if you're going to be playing all these other teams?
They're already doing it. They're doing it every year. Alabama's played USC. They're playing Texas. They played. They're playing one. It seems like marquee game every year.
But that's in the SEC as it exists now. The SEC after it expands, and if it expands beyond just those 2 teams, that's a whole different dynamic.
I would think, and I don't know how much longer Nick Saban's going to coach there, but I think that it would probably stay similar to what it is now. I don't know that the SEC is going to want to go to 9. I mean, maybe they do. If they do, then I think the non-conference games aren't going to be.
I don't think there's any doubt they're going to go to 9. You can't have 8 conference games if you're going to have a 20-team league.
Right. 16-team league even. Right.
I mean,
they should. And I would think ESPN wants that. ESPN wants more conference games to try to sell against that package. So
the other thing, and to me that was the biggest thing I gathered.
The conference is going to be spectacular.
Talking about the SEC.
I am, but I would even say even in the Big 12, if you add another game and they add some other teams, it should still be pretty good.
It'll be a lot of fun. I just hate the fact that we're not going to see teams play. Now, granted, everybody's in different parts of the country in every conference anyway now, but I want to see non-conference games. I get it. I understand the reason Mike Gundy has. I understand what OU will be thinking. Just as a guy who lives in Oklahoma and loves Bedlam, I love the rivalry. I would love to see it. I get it. It's not going to happen. And to me, I've always thought, oh yeah, that's probably not going to happen, but maybe they'll salvage it. Mike Gundy didn't give me any confidence in that.
Yeah,
deal.
This doesn't sound like there's any ambiguity in his answer. I mean, that was basically just a no. He said at the podium, and then more so what he said to you.
I don't think there's mystery to this. It's just not.
No,
happening.
You're right.
Yeah.
I want there to be. I'm Pollyannish. Is that the right phrase? I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
I want it to be there, but I get it. The other thing, kind of said it, joking, not joking. The OU and Texas are still involved in all the Big 12 meetings. He said, if I were in charge, I would have kicked him out a long time ago. And in fact, he was kind of talking about, hey, if he was asked if OU and Texas wanted to leave early, he said, that'd be great. Cut that check. Let's get the money. I'd rather have the money than have them in the
both
conference.
Of you guys, if the conference were as interested in getting Oklahoma and Texas out of the Big 12 as the SEC is interested in them going ahead and joining that conference, why wouldn't there be some wiggle room? I mean, the Big 12 wants to get as much money out of them as they can, especially via ESPN. But what is it that's that's besides the broadcast package as it exists because it becomes less valuable. But what is it that's holding the Big 12 to force them to stay in?
The money. I think this is all a message to ESPN, to whoever. If you want, the most important thing now to the Big 12 would be, we want our media rights negotiated before the Pac-12 does, in case we want to steal some Pac-12 teams. And if ESPN wants to pay a premium to let us do that and sustain ourselves going forward, then we really could care less about getting a check from OU and Texas, and we really don't want them around anyway. So let them get the hell out.
Right.
So I think that's that situation.
They're going to get their money if they leave early. I don't think they're going to say, yeah, you know what, we're good here.
You don't think even with a broadcast renegotiation that there would be some wiggle room for them to say, cut us a significantly less check and go ahead and leave because we've got this money coming down the road in this new broadcast package?
We need more headsets here because we've had a quick change of of personnel. No, Mr. Tyler Lacey is here with us, and Curtis is going to come back in a second. What's up, Tyler?
How you doing?
Mark Rogers, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Good to see you. We appreciate you coming over here. It's a lot of new faces on the defense, not necessarily in the group you play with, but a lot of new faces on the defense. So tell me about some of the guys that are working hard in the offseason in the summer that you think are going to have a big impact this year.
I feel like Xavier Benson, he's going to come in and play very well. I mean, he's coming from Texas Tech. I mean, he has a lot of football experience. Yeah. And I feel like Mason Cobb has a good chance this year. I mean, he's been there. He's been watching, developing his game. I feel like his game is going to rise this season. In the back end, we're looking out for the back end. I mean, I feel like Jabbar is going to be a good asset for us, and Jason Taylor, he's already back there. Everybody knows about him and what he could do on the field. So I feel like the defense is coming together pretty nice. I mean, everybody's just buying in the Coach Mason system, and we're playing as one. So.
Jason had a couple of big plays last year. That interception at Texas and the block kick at Boise were two key plays for the entire season.
Yeah, he's a playmaker. Anywhere you put him on the position, anywhere you put him on the field, I mean, he's going to make a play. It doesn't matter. He was on Hans' team, like when we played at Texas Tech at Boone Pickens, he ran it back for a touchdown. It doesn't matter where you have him at on the field. He's going to be a good.
Take me back to the Fiesta Bowl, the rally, and beat Notre Dame. What was that like for you? You've been around the program for a long time. Tell me about that celebration and what that meant to the offseason.
I mean, it felt really good in the moment. I mean, it felt really good in the moment, but in the offseason, it really doesn't feel like anything. I mean, I feel like it's just a new year. I mean, it's ready to start over. I mean, we could see that we can do it, and we could beat any team in the nation. I feel like we could beat any team you throw at us, and we can rally back to victory like how we've been doing the whole season. I feel like if we just trust each other, have trust in on offense and defense, and we can go back into the game plan and redo the game plan and buy in. And I feel like we could be in a position where we need.
Defensively, is there much change since Coach Knowles left? Do you think that the fans will notice some kind of different defensive philosophy this year, or will it be similar to what we've seen?
I mean, it's going to be similar to what we've been seeing, but Derek Mason has his own little touches here and there, and he might call a different play call in this situation besides what Jim Knowles would call. And I feel like everybody's bought in, and we can trust Derek Mason. And I feel like we trust Derek Mason for this season.
Between you and then the edge guys, the linebackers and stuff, you got Brock's here today. You got Colin, who's named on the All Big 12 team. You got Trace, who's battled through some injuries. Do you guys have a nickname for the pass rush or anything like that you've come up with? Because that's a pretty good group. You need some help, or maybe you need us to brainstorm on something. You need to get something like a T-shirt NIL deal going there.
Yeah, we could do that. I mean, we call each other Trench Mob.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, I think that works.
That works. But I feel like we can, get some, a little flair. But I feel like the Trench Mob is really good. We've had that on our shirts previously in the past, but I don't know what happened to it this year. So
you can get it going again.
Yeah, we need to bring it back.
Tell me about Colin, because he really made an impact last year getting after the passer as a true freshman. What makes him such a good player?
Colin is a very great player. I mean, he's young, he's nimble. I mean, he has the speed in the world, and his work ethic. He comes in, and you would, like, when you see him, like, you wouldn't even think he was a freshman last year. You would think like he's been here for 6 years. Like you would think he was like a veteran, and he comes in with that mindset. And I just try to push him every single day. I mean, like, even though he has that mindset, that could be a good thing and that could be a bad thing. So, but for me, I like try to push him to be the best he can be out there on the field. And I know he could do better. And he's been showing it in every game. He's been improving. And that's what I like about Colin.
31 consecutive starts for you. Is it gone by pretty fast? Does it seem like you just got there yesterday, or?
Yeah, it's been going pretty fast. Like I was just talking about to my peoples that I was like, wow, this about to be my 6th year up here. Like I remember coming in as a freshman in 2018, walking in and not knowing what to expect.
Right. Stillwater, a good place?
Yeah, Stillwater's a good place. I mean, not really much to do, but like focus on football. So I feel like that's the best place for me to be and to grow in the area I wanted to be in.
Yeah, outstanding, Tyler. We appreciate your time, man. Best of luck this year.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, thanks
you
for
so
stopping
much.
by. This is Tyler Lacey, part of the Oklahoma State defense. This was so good last year, and he's going to provide a lot of leadership to that side of the football again this year.
Trench mob. Nothing wrong with that.
Those guys are good.
I think it works.
No, they were pretty. They were. And again, I think that room that those guys have, that the edge and the exterior of that defense is as good as anybody that's not Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State. I mean, it's pretty fantastic. So, okay. Sorry about that. I mean, I didn't mean to bump you, but
no, dude,
we got to take when we get them.
I want to. I was talking to Sean at OSU. He's measuring Lacey. I'm talking about 6'4", 285.
He's huge.
I said that is a large man. He goes, man, of all the guys we have in our program, NFL scouts probably ask about him the most, just from his physical tools, measurement. Right. I mean, all the stuff on film, I mean, they can figure that out. But just physically, that's an NFL-looking dude right there.
He's the biggest guy here today of all the players.
By far, I think. And he's not a fat 285. No. I mean, he is stacked, man.
No doubt. Absolutely. Well, that was interesting. To go back to the thought before he stopped by, that Mike Gundy was. One thing I appreciate about him is he doesn't sit here and act like, well, I really only worry about me or us and stuff like that. He's got an opinion on other things around college football, and I know Kale's that way too. That they like the sport, they watch other stuff. They're not afraid to sit there and tell you about their opinion on something that's going on out there, which I think is good. At least it's good for us.
100%. And when he talked about the, if I were running things around here, I wouldn't have OU and Texas involved, and that was kind of the headline grabber. And then later he said, I'm kind of joking because I'm friends with Joe Castiglione. I'm friends with Del Conte at Texas. But then he's like, yeah, but I still wouldn't want him around. Like, he's pretty honest about it. Yeah, and they're not offended by it.
They get it.
And I don't know why anybody would think that way. But I put that on Twitter, and people are just, it's like the world's lit up,
Well, in a perfect world, wouldn't Texas and Oklahoma both tell you we'd rather not be here too? I mean, they'd rather want to get on to the future. So I don't think that's an offensive thing. I can see where if you just read it in print, maybe it sounds that way, but I wouldn't take it that way at all. It's the most logical thing for everybody involved, except the entity that is the Big 12 that needs that money.
Well, my favorite part about that, Brad, is that he said, yeah, they're probably sitting there taking notes, and then they're taking the good stuff over to the SEC with it. Well, I mean, he's trying to be funny, which I thought it was funny.
Well, but it's a good way to poke light at a situation that really is bad, because there were times at the Big 12 meetings that they had to have Oklahoma and Texas get up and leave the room. That's pretty awkward. I mean, especially for, again, a guy like Joe Castiglione, who's probably the most respected guy in the room. And I don't know that necessarily he would have wanted to be in the SEC. You know what I mean? And so it's not, the more that we sit here and talk about this, the more that we have other things going on, the more that people speed up the rights negotiations. Now that we're getting into the final year or 2 years of those deals, the more I'm convinced that this is happening in 2023.
It's amazing. I've gone all over the map on this. Originally, I said, I'll talk about a year ago, right after Big 12 Media Day, we got the SEC meeting. When all this stuff happened, I remember I went on one of our sister stations in Birmingham, and they were asking me, hey, when do you think this is going to happen? Because typically, if you look at the history of conference realignment, it happens immediately. Teams go. And I said, most likely next year, definitely within 2 years. And then in the last couple months, I've gone the other way, and I thought, 25. It makes no sense for OU to get out of there early. Get your house in order. You're not going to pay the exit fee. Figure out what your landscape's going to be. Get your recruiting base, and then go in 25. Now I'm back to where you're saying. I think it's trending back the other way, in my opinion, that things are happening right now that maybe they're not here next year.
I know I say this jokingly, but it really is like your 2 weeks notice when you're leaving a job. I mean, there's a reason why companies a lot of times say, here's a check for you 2 weeks, go ahead and leave. I mean, all of these things that we've talked about, it makes perfect sense for them to want Texas and Oklahoma to go ahead and move on.
Except they're not cutting you a check. You got to get a check.
Right.
So,
right. Yeah. Well, that's the difference.
That's the big difference. Thanks, Curtis. Appreciate it.
You got it.
Good stuff. Thanks for letting us know what happened in that breakout session. We got to take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll wrap things up. Fast and Furious here from Arlington. It'll be the same tomorrow with Oklahoma and Texas here. Stay tuned in the middle of the day show on the Sports Animal.
Message marked urgent.
All right, you guys are up.
Al, Barry, and Dean, weekdays starting at 4:45 on WWLS, the Sports Animal.
Welcome back. Mark Rogers, Brad Copeland here. I'm in Arlington, Brad, at Advanced Laser Cataract in Oklahoma City. What's happening there on North Penn? You taking good care of the people today?
Well, if you are 40 or over, you may not have started buying cheaters yet, but I guarantee you've started figuring out where they are in the store. And Advanced Laser and Cataract Center can make that no longer a part of your life. If you need glasses full-time, even if it's bifocals or trifocals, or certainly if you need reading glasses over the age of 40, lens replacement surgery can get rid of all of those issues for you and get you right back on your feet. The next day after surgery, most patients right back to their full-time life. Only takes about 7 minutes an eye, so 20 minutes or so, and you're good to go. You open your eyes, and all of a sudden you just see way more clearly than you did before. And the added benefit is lens replacement means you'll never get a cataract, unlike LASIK, which means that patients are going to need reading glasses again or cataract surgery in the future. That's done away with lens replacement. So find out more about it. You could go online to alcok.com. You could call them at 405-755-7700, or better yet, come in and let them talk to you about what it is that they do and show you the process at 11308 North Penn for Advanced Laser and Cataract Center.
All right. Well, it will be OU tomorrow, so we will hear from Brent Venables and Dylan Gabriel. Don't know that he's met really with the media very much, so it should be interesting to talk to.
Major Booty going to be there?
No Major Booty. Marvin Mims will be here, but no Major Booty. Yeah, sorry about that. You can probably see him on Media Day in Norman if you'd like to go down there.
Okay. Good to know. Also, you'll have the live feed again tomorrow, right? So if people want to tune in and watch you talking to the players and the coaches and everything else live, you'll be able to do that again tomorrow on the YouTube channel.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
This may be a one-time thing.
Your producer may not be staying long enough to engineer for you tomorrow.
I don't know what he's got going on tomorrow, but we can't talk about those kind of things behind the scenes.
He's a busy man. Right. I understand.
And he's being called out. So, I mean, the saddest thing is he's leaving with a company credit card. That's the worst part of this.
Well, you got a little mouthful of that company credit card, I understand. So
I did.
Nothing wrong with that.
I did. It was fantastic. We had some good fraternity last night. It was fun hanging out. It was good. Sorry that you weren't here, but
yeah, I am too. That's a bummer.
Well, I think that will do it for us. The Ultimate is coming in next. I have been summoned by the Ultimate to stay, and so I will be hanging out with him for about the next 20 minutes, or at least that, and then we'll talk about everything that's going on here today and kind of put a wrap on that. And then I will look forward to talking to you tomorrow. And we still did not give the Bigfoot scenario and the story that was.
No, we got to save for tomorrow. And also, we talked. I don't know if it was this week or last week. We talked about these mega contracts in the NBA and players wanting out of them. Sometimes like Durant before they even play on them. Adam Silver addressed that, so I heard about that too because I think that's interesting.
It was some good stuff that he had to say. He talked about, maybe giving a little money back, not the guaranteed contract, huh?
Right.
That's putting some pressure on the players. That's a fascinating topic. Thanks, Brad. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.
All right, man.
All right, we'll see you here from Big 12 Media Days. I'll be back with Jim right after this. Stay tuned to Sports Animal.
Here's the rules for WWLS, the Sports Animal. One winner per household every 6 months. When you call